We're back with episode 3. Dun, 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 dun. How are we? Episode 3 of the weekly Waffle with Beth, and the two dogs are staring me out. I have timed this when it's their tea time, so if they have an occasional bark at me, I do apologise. Terrible timing on Mummy's part. Sorry, boys. But we've started now, and I've got Chinese on the way, so we've got to get it done. How are we? I hope we're well. I am recording this on Thursday evening. This will be coming out tomorrow. So it's coming out the night. I'm recording this the night before it's released. And we're just going to talk about the obvious thing that England are out. It is what it is. We're not going to talk about it because the whole internet and the whole world is talking about it. It were a rough do. They went into defence mode after one goal. Rookie error. We move. Don't matter, does it? Don't matter. It's bigger problems in the world, people. Bigger problems. So that's that. I did go and watch it in the pub, and then me and Jake sadly walked home. It was Jake's birthday, bless him, and they lost. But he still had a good birthday, so that's fine. And he had a great birthday. He's just turned 29. I'm 30 this year. I'm like 9 months older than him. I know. Cougar. Anyway. That's that. If you can hear me fan, by the way, I'm really sorry, but gal, it's hot still. I feel like it's getting warmer again. We are 38 weeks pregnant today. So big 38. We've made it. Do I think she's coming? I don't know. Every evening I get to the point I think she might come, but then you wake up and she's still in there. My heartburn has returned massively. She's rather annoying, and everything just hurts downstairs. Basically, and that's that really, isn't it? That's the trimester in the final weeks. But we're fine. So this week's episode is pregnancy based. It is a little bit of finding out about how we got pregnant. Well, we know how, like I've said on the other episodes. If you don't know how to make a baby, get off of this. But how we decided we would like a baby, how long we were trying for, how we found out, blah, 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 blah. So let's get into this. If you know me well, you will know that I have wanted to be a mummy since I was obsessed with baby Annabelle. I had all baby stuff when I was a little kid. Like, I was baby obsessed. And as I went into teenage years, like any family members I grew up a lot around babies. So I have spent a lot of time around babies. So baby girl arriving, like having her doesn't scare me as much as like getting her out. I know I'm confident I'll be able to keep her alive. Well, I hope anyway. We'll see. I might get shock. Could get a shock in my life. It's more than likely I'll get absolute shock in my life. I'm going to get a shock in my life. I think the lack of sleep and stuff like that is going to be a shock in my life. But do you want to know how to like calm a baby and stuff? I'm hoping I'll be all right. But like I say, it's going to be a shock either way, isn't it? But yeah, I've always been massively just love babies. Like, obsessed when I was a teenager of changing babies' nappies, feeding them the bottles, having cuddles. Any chance I could, I would. So on the last episode, I also discussed the fact that when I met Jake, I made it very clear to him, I want babies. And he was like, okay, you want babies. So we'd sort of made the decision that once we'd got married, I've basically been on the pill for well over 10 years. I think it was about 13, 14 years. So we're like, it'll take a while to get out of my system. So we'll drop the pill when we get married, and then it'll take us like 6. We were thinking 6 to 12 months. It took us 4. So I was tracking my ovulation. So we did know that we were trying on days that I was going to be ovulating. Specifically, the actual month that we caught on, that was the one month I knew we were ovulating. The other few months, because my periods were a bit here and there when I first came off the pill, I wasn't 100%. But that month 4, we knew that we were ovulating and we caught on. So I know I am absolutely insanely blessed that we were able to catch on that quickly and that easily. Some people I know that it's not that simple. I've had to go down IVF. I can be trying to conceive for months and years. So yeah, I am insanely blessed that we did catch on really, really quickly. Obviously been trying, and so we were both well aware that there could be a positive pregnancy test at any point. And I'd been out with my friend Eleanor, my best friend Eleanor, and we'd been for some brunch. I'd actually had raw salmon. The funny thing is, it's the first time I'd ever had raw salmon. Really enjoyed it. I've only ever managed to have it once. And I just felt a bit funny. Not because of the salmon. I'd felt a bit funny before I even ate the salmon. And I was like, something doesn't feel right. Anyway, I got home and I had like the normal line tests. Took one of them and it said negative. So I was like, all right, whatever, that's fine. Don't matter. Yeah, this is going to take a while. It's fine. And then I'd gone to a job in Bolton the day after. And I still just something. It's like, my body just like was telling me something doesn't feel right. So I came home and I knew Jake was home in like the next hour. And I was like, I'm just going to take another pregnancy test because something was telling me. Anyway, I took one, and because I'd taken one the day before, I sort of just like popped it on the side. Like the other ones I like literally like watching. I sort of just like popped it on the side, finished my business. I'd left the bathroom, and then I like came back in like, oh my word, that test. And I sort of like, you like glimpse it, and I'm like, oh my word, I think that's positive. So I've got a reaction to that because I got my camera out straight away because I was like, I want to record like me actually having a look at this. And it was positive. And I was like, I think that's positive. It was very, very faint, but I was like, I think that's positive. So I was like, but then I knew Jake was home in the next hour. I was like, I can't show him that because he's going to be like, Beth, don't like, try not to get your hopes up. Like, it's very faint that. Anyway, I ran down to Tesco, made myself feel physically sick and bought a digital, like dated test. Came back up, neck in water to try and make myself need a wee. Went for a wee, and it was positive. Obviously, I can't remember what the first one is. It's like 0 to 3 weeks pregnant or something. I can't remember. Whatever the first one is. So I tucked it in my pocket, and I was like, right, he's home in an hour. So like, just wait till he gets home, and then you can tell him. So he came home, and I'd set my camera up in the corner of the kitchen, which he's quite used to just being on. Like it might not even be recording. I've got 2 phones, so I normally have like one on, just on the tripod all the time anyway. So he never knows if it's really recording or not. And he was like fussing about when he first came in, and I'm like, "Come here and give me a kiss." Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't even know why. He just like he was fine. He was just like not like, I'm like, come here and like give me a kiss. And I'm sat on like the kitchen worktop, and I just like pulled it out. And like showed him it, and he just looked at me and was like, "Oh my word!" And I was like, "I know." And he didn't really say much. He was just like, "Oh my word, that's amazing! Give me a kiss." And he was just like, "That's crazy." Yeah, that evening was funny because we were having Frank's mum and sister to stay, so we found out we were pregnant, and within like 2 hours, our family friend rocked up with like all these dogs, and we were like, "Yeah, that's great, thank you." Like they went, and we were sat there, and we were like, we're having a baby. We're surrounded by like 6 dogs. I'm like, what are we doing? I felt fine. I just felt a little bit like off it. Like I just felt weird. Anyway, I'd obviously found out that you can have a reassurance private scan at 7 weeks. So I think I'd worked out that we were like 4 weeks pregnant, 4 or 5. So I said to Jake, shall I pay for that and we'll go and he was like, yeah, do that. He said, because if not, you're just not going to settle. And that it would have meant we wouldn't have had a 12-week scan until after Christmas. And this was pre-Christmas. This was like November time. Oh, I can't go that long just looking at a positive test. So we booked it in, and I'd said to him, I'll wait to tell my mum and dad to have had this reassurance scan. And he went, all right, okay, yeah. Clearly you knew that was never going to happen. The next morning, I speak to my mum day in, day out, and I was on the phone to my mum. I don't know why I ever thought I'd be able to hide it for this long. But on the phone to my mum, she's like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. She's like, you sure? What's wrong? And I was like, no, nothing. I'm fine. I'm just feeling a bit under the weather. I'm all right. She's like, all right, okay. As long as you're sure. I put the phone down, and he came in, and he was just looking at me like, you're going to have to go tell her, right? I'm like, yeah, I think I might. Like, she definitely knows. And if she doesn't know, she's going to know within the first time I see her. So I rocked up to my mum and dad's. My dad wasn't in, annoyingly, because I was like, I just wanted to tell them both together, but my mum was. So I went upstairs, and she was like chatting away, and she was actually on hold to like some complaint thing for like returning something. So she was like ranting at me about this, and I was like, yeah. And then she stopped talking about it, and she was just like looking at me, and I just like whipped out this test, and I've got it on camera because I was like holding my phone to my chest, and she was just like, oh my word. Like she said to me, she went, I didn't think you were pregnant, but like I thought something wasn't right. She like, but I didn't expect you to tell me you were pregnant yet. So she was absolutely buzzing. She's like, oh my word, we need to tell your dad. And I was like, I know. I said, where is he? And she's like, he's out on a job. I was like, right, okay. I'm like, well, I'll text him and say that I need him to come and pick something up for something. I don't know. I have to come up with some excuse and to call into mine on the way home. So I'm like, okay. So I had to wait all afternoon for him to come. And he was like, came in, he was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh, he just like sobbed his little socks off. He was so excited. He was so emotional. He's been emotional the whole time. When she actually gets here, I can't even imagine how emotional he's going to be. But yeah, that was so cute. And then obviously it was like hitting to Christmas. So we told like really close family and friends around Christmas time. After we'd had the reassurance shot, we'd not obviously managed to have the 12-week scan by this point, but because we were spending Christmas around all my family and we like go away with them, I was like, I'm gonna have to tell them because they're gonna think something's really wrong with me, or like I'm being really rude. So it was like 3 days before we were gonna be 12 weeks. I was like, we'll just tell them and just be like, listen, we're very early days, please obviously don't say anything. So my family and friends were absolutely lovely. Then once we had my 12-week scan, we obviously started announcing it with everybody. I told everybody on TikTok and stuff like that. And yeah, I felt rough. My first trimester was, I don't know if it was the hard. People say, was your first trimester harder or your third trimester? I think I found my first trimester harder just because people don't know at this point. And like, I just felt sick all the time. I was really lucky that I wasn't physically sick, but I felt sick all the time. I also got a really bad flu and sickness bug in my first trimester. So that didn't help. And yeah, the just exhaustion and just your whole body is just in like growing mode. And also it's also that it's the highest chance of you having a miscarriage. Obviously in the first trimester, like your percentages literally drop week by week. And I was like consumed by that, like by Googling what chance we were at each week, right? There's this chance. And I found that quite intense. I think that's what I found most difficult in that first trimester was the fact that I could have lost her at any point. And obviously you can lose them at any point throughout. I don't want to make this morbid, but obviously miscarriage rates are a thing that goes throughout the whole of pregnancy, but just because in the first trimester it is so much higher than the rest of it, I did find that really difficult, and I think that's what kept my anxiety high during the first trimester. But hit the second trimester, and just after 12 weeks, I would say about 13, 14 weeks, I felt so much more human. It's like something switched. I woke up one day and I was like, you know what, I feel all right today. And I remember the day because I took the dogs out for a walk. We went to Starbucks, and it was the first day in weeks that I'd managed to like get out and do stuff. My content was diabolical during December. I tried to do Vlogmas, and I went completely silent for about 2 weeks because I just couldn't pull myself together to like be posting and stuff because I was like, they're gonna guess because I look diabolical. And a few people had said, like, comment like, oh, with how quiet you were, we thought something like might have been going on, that you were pregnant, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, second trimester I thoroughly really enjoyed it. You had this little tiny bump that was finally showing, my energy was back, I didn't feel sick. You're not particularly uncomfortable at that point, I don't think, because the bump isn't heavy. Well, my bump wasn't particularly massive, so it wasn't really heavy enough that it's causing you any problems. I could still get up. I was still sleeping fine. And then as we eased into third trimester, the first few weeks were fine. And all of a sudden, I started with like heartburn, back pain. My biggest thing is I've had pelvic girdle pain, and I've the pressure on my pelvis is something that I have never experienced before. And now it's like really intense, like growing pains, like right in my crotch. Like that's how it feels. I can sit there most nights and go to Jake, I think she's in my backside. Like I think she's on her way out because the pressure, and obviously I know it's going to get way worse than this for labour, but the pressure when I stand up, and I don't think I underestimated how uncomfortable it gets at the end. So I obviously do content creation and stuff for a living, but I also run a company that does wedding content creation, and I am due at the end of July, and I didn't stop doing weddings until the end of June, which put me about 36 and a half weeks. The last two were some of the most difficult things the difficult days. I was in absolute agony by the end of the days. Because people don't realise at weddings as well, you are on your feet for like 10 hours a day. Like, I could go and sit down now and again, but there is always something happening. And obviously a couple have paid you to be there. Like, I am committed to doing the job, and I will, and I put myself in agony to be there. But I think if we were to ever have another one, it was something that I'd have to weigh up how far I can go. I think I need to push it back a little bit to... It's just the fact that I could still work, so I could still do other content. I could still work from home. I could still do all that. So I'm still working now, and I'll work right up until she's here. But it was more the on your feet content jobs of being on your feet all day, like 37 weeks pregnant, is not something that's like an easy thing to do. So I did find that quite hard. And probably the most difficult part. We've only ever ended up in hospital once, which was after one of those weddings. She wasn't really moving. And I don't know whether it was my stress on my body because I was overtired and I was in pain. And maybe I was overthinking it. But we went in for reduced movements and she wouldn't move on the damn... We put her on the monitor and so many people are like, oh, you put them on the monitor and start moving. She didn't. She just wouldn't move for like an hour. So we came off and they were about to refer us to the consultant and Jake were like, let me play some music. I'm like, shut up, that's not going to do it. And he played Irish music to my tummy and she went nuts. She likes music. There's like a couple of ways we've always managed to get her to move if she's been a bit quiet. It's been like moving, get in the bath, have something to eat, tends to like wake her up a little bit. But yeah, it was a bit of it wasn't nice going in, but the hospital is so good and they reassure you so much to just come in if there's lack of movement. Now we've been quite blessed that we've been having some extra growth scans, and that's simply because I'm on antidepressants and they want to track her size. Now she was measuring about 17th percentile on the first scan, but the last one she was up to 51 or something like that. So she should be pretty standard size. I'm predicting around somewhere between 7 and 8 pounds, I think she'll be. So she actually that fine and measuring really well, which is really good. So we are 38 weeks. We've got obviously 2 weeks to go, but a week on Tuesday, so just before the 40th week, we've got another growth scan to see how she's getting on. And they also probably want to do a sweep. I've not 100% decided if I'm going to have a sweep at that point or I'm going to wait until I'm full term and then have a sweep. And like being induced and stuff, I just haven't made a decision. I think it'll be more see how I feel that in that time. Obviously, like I would actually love her to come just today. Like that'd be brilliant if she could just make a little arrival because I am ridiculously uncomfortable and the heat has been a major thing. We've been through like 3 different heat waves. Like we're sitting at like 24, 25 degrees constantly for the summer. Like this is not normal UK weather, but it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm embracing it. It's fine. I have thoroughly enjoyed being pregnant. If I'm honest, second, third trimester especially, like I've enjoyed having the bump. I've enjoyed feeling a move. I'm just getting to the point now that I'm just uncomfortable and I'm ready for it to be here. I am so excited to be a mummy. I'm so excited for it to be here in this next chapter. Like I say, it's something I have dreamed of since I was so tiny. And at the moment I would do it again, but ask me after labour, I don't know. In terms of labour and my plans, I don't particularly have any plans. No plans. I am open to everything. Pain relief, everything. Give me it because I am quite open to it. I would love a water birth. But obviously know that you can only really have like gas and air and stuff if you have a water birth and if they're free and available. Because I spend a lot of time in the bath when I'm in pain, I think it would help me try and keep quite calm. So I would like a water birth, but whatever happens from that point is fine. I just want her to be safe and me to get her out as safely as possible. As safely as possible with as little trauma as possible. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going into it really open-minded, trying not to set any expectations on myself or anybody else of what's going to happen. And just enjoy it and enjoy her being here. And me and Jake have got so many plans of what we want to do with her and just make her part of our little life. Another teammate for the Leasley crew. And I think the boys will be okay. It'll take a couple of weeks for them to get used to it, I think, but they will be okay eventually. They definitely know something's going off. They've been playing up a little bit recently. If you follow me on socials, you'll know that they've been keeping me on my toes, haven't you? Especially little Franklin. He's cleverer than we give him credit for. But yeah, that is sort of how we found out we were pregnant, how I found it. Nothing too major. I have been quite blessed, well, very blessed, that I've had a very, very smooth pregnancy, and hopefully it's a nice, smooth labour. Praying hard that's what happens. So yeah, that's episode 3. Probably not as exciting as episode 2. The Jake story is way more exciting, but you guys wanted to know, and that is the story of how we found out we were pregnant, whether we planned it, blah, blah, blah. So she was planned, but not planned, if you get what I mean. She was planned that we knew we were trying for a baby. We just didn't think it'd happen that fast. But how blessed are we? So I'm not 100% sure what the next episode is going to be. So I'll put it out on social media and see what we're going to have a chat about. But thanks again for following. If you're not, please hit the subscribe button on whatever you're listening this to or watching on YouTube. Really, really appreciate you following along and listening along. A little goal of mine was to do this, and the fact we've done 3 episodes is an absolute miracle. And we did the intro, so let's count it as 4. Hope you have a great day or evening or morning or whatever you're doing right now, or driving or whatever you're doing. But my Chinese is on the way and I'm well excited.